Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the More Money Show comes in. If you're ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode of More Money. I am here with Kate Kretzinger of Kate8wellness.com.
Kate8forwellness.com.
I'm like, I missed it. I'm like, funny because if we weren't recording and I asked, I would totally have it. But we have this thing about podcasting where there's these certain things that just like slip your mind in the moment.
That's quite all right.
And this is how the whole interview will be. So if laughing is on your agenda today, I'm just going to say maybe turn it off. I don't know.
That's right. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So welcome, Kate. I'm so excited to have you today. 2 days ago. Yes, I know. 2 days ago, Kate was at the best cocktail party ever.
Yes, ever.
Ever. Yeah. So tell us what's awesome we're kind of going to do this one a little bit, go from now backwards a little bit, but tell us what's awesome from now and everything that's awesome since you've been back.
Oh gosh. So I don't want to forget anything. So I made some notes, but I also, the feeling, if we start with feelings, I can't even explain it, describe it. I have been on such a high since Tuesday, since our flight, or since our cocktail party, and it was the best ever. But what has happened since then, I've had just on my trip to Denver, I got 6 clients and just drinking champagne.
Right? Wait,
I want to drink champagne.
Yeah,
that's right. I want to drink champagne every day. So yeah, I got 6 clients and just on that day. And since then I had someone sign up with me yesterday, sign on and actually pay. And then I have 2 that are meeting with me on Friday and one on Monday. So, and that means that they're going to be clients as well. So I'm so excited. So that's 8 total since Tuesday. Since Tuesday.
You have a pretty significant business. What's an average week?
An average week, well, because I see my clients on a continuous basis. So they sign up with me and it's 6 months, right? So on average, it's probably about 1 a week is what I get.
Yeah. So we're at like 8 times in 48 hours, basically.
48 hours, yes.
That
so awesome.
is awesome, right?
It was so funny because I think I was telling you a little bit about this story this morning. I was at the gym that I work out at, and she said to me, she goes, "Weren't you just on a trip?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, what were you doing?" I said, "Celebrating." And she goes, "Celebrating what?" And I said, "Women and success." And she goes, "Really?" And she goes, "Just for a day?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "And I got 6 new clients just drinking champagne." She was like, "What?" She goes, "That's awesome." So who doesn't want to do that, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, it was so cool. So fun.
That is so fun.
Yeah. And I had a workshop last night and I had 3 people sign up last minute for that workshop.
Awesome.
So it was amazing. And gosh, what else? I in that workshop too, I was pulling out, being tired. I hadn't slept, mind you, right? So I had been up at 3:00 Tuesday. My workshop was Wednesday night at 6:00. I hadn't slept at all so it had been over 24 hours I'd been awake. And my workshop, I recorded it because there were some people that couldn't watch it at that time. So I recorded it and it was amazing. It was like the best workshop I had ever done. I was like, I should do this all the time. Right. Go fly in and see Cassie before I do a workshop. It was just awesome.
It is awesome. I love it because it busts all those myths. I think sometimes when we think we start a business, or I did this, I know I would think like, oh, I have to be this X rested. I have to do this. I can't like do anything before I'm going to do a workshop or lead this program. Right. And what you've shown and shared right now is that when you are in the space of that experience and being your future self and loving your life and the experience that you're in, it just carries, like you're better at what you do.
Absolutely. And I've heard you say in the past, that we'll never be the same once we go to Denver to celebrate. And I totally get it now. I don't feel like the same person.
Tell us more. Tell us all about
Oh,
that.
oh my gosh. So, I feel more laid back and I feel like
Mm,
more going with the flow. And I always say that I think every interview you do with me, I feel
yeah.
that all the time. And it's just keeps getting deeper and deeper. The layers are just getting deeper. That's the only way I can explain that. Because everything that we did that day was totally stepping into my future self and things that I hadn't even thought of doing. And things that I wouldn't expect to do on just a day. And when I was telling my sister about the whole trip, she goes, and it's hard to believe that was just yesterday. And I said, I know, it feels like it was all in a week span, but it was just in one day. It was just so awesome.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And I usually say I think this is true as I've like watched and for my own personal like one day live or like 24 hours where you're coming in this very intentional experience or you're coming to see me, I'm creating this very intentional experience like both ways. One day live is like I think it's a 3 to 6 month leap
Yeah,
in your growth
absolutely.
process. Yeah.
It
Do you
feels like it.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it really kicked in when I was at the airport when
Yeah.
I thought I was going to miss my flight.
Uh-huh.
And I reached out to you because I knew I needed extra help, just some support. And once you told me it's going to be okay, because everybody around me was like, "Oh, we're going to miss the flight." I mean, you saw the picture that I sent you. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And I was like, I don't want to get sucked into that. I don't want to get sucked
Mhm.
into that. And because I knew it was going to work out okay. So what I did after you sent me that text message is I put in some meditation music
Yes.
so I couldn't hear anybody. The minute those
Love it.
headphones hit my ear, the lines started moving and the lines didn't stop. I've never seen a security line not stop. The line
Yes.
just kept moving through that S and it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And then when we got to the lines where we had to show our IDs, there was probably at least 20 people in front of me. And I told them, I said, my plane's boarding now, which it was. I was like, my plane's
Yeah.
boarding now. Well, according to the ticket, it was.
Yeah.
And I said, do you mind if I get in front of you? And they're like, sure. So I got to cut like 20 people.
That's amazing.
And so I was so thankful. They were so sweet. And so I got to the security and I'm unloading my bag. And I said to the security guy, I said, okay, my plane's loading, boarding, like how much longer to my gate? And he looks and he goes, oh, you got to get on a train and you got to take the second stop. And I was like, I got to get on a train? So he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh gosh, how long do you think that would be? And he goes, probably about 10 minutes. And I said, okay, so that's past the time I need to be at my gate. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. So I put all my stuff in my bag after I went through security, got on the train, ran to my gate, and realized that the flight had been delayed 15 minutes.
Just waiting for you.
Just waiting for me. It was, and it actually been was more than 15 minutes because it was supposed to leave at 12:15 after they had done the delay. It ended up
Uh-huh.
leaving a little bit later than that. So it was perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I love it. I love it. And how much did that build your trust muscle for the future?
Oh, a lot. It really did. Because I think what the events that happened that day already built my trust muscle,
Mhm.
and being in line is where I was afraid I was going to lose it because I had just got all that trust.
Yes.
And so I said, I'm not going to let these people suck me in and listen to their story. So I just put in my headphones and that just made that trust muscle grow even more.
Yes.
So when you say it's, like leaps and bounds from us, being in person, like 3 to 6 months ahead, definitely. And I felt that way. And then I felt even more so in that experience as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it
That's
was crazy.
awesome.
Yeah,
So
it is awesome.
so um looking back, like did you have any idea like you just said yes because it felt good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any idea how much it would change or did you think it was just going to be like this fun thing that you did?
I just thought it was just going to be a fun thing that we did. I had no idea. I mean, like I said, I've heard you say that we change,
Mhm.
but I was like, I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I'm there yet. And I went in with an open mind, and I was like, I'm just going to take it all in and experience everything. And I did. I changed. I changed.
Yes.
It was great. It was so great. And I was explaining it to my husband, and he was right beside himself with some of the things too. He's like, wow, that is definitely not you. And he goes, and that's awesome that you've had these changes. And even the airport line, I told him that story. I told him everything. And he was like, wow. He goes, yeah, that in of itself is huge too. And I was like, yeah, very huge. Cause I used to travel all the time for work,
Mhm.
and and all that, those memories are ingrained of all the traveling that you do and the experiences you have. And this by far was the best experience I've ever had. And being on the plane going home, they had a little baby who wasn't even probably a year old, cried all 4 hours, literally screeching. And it didn't bother me. I didn't even have earplugs, nothing. It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
In the past, it would have. So, because my future self is all about being peace, right? Being
Mhm.
peaceful and calm. And
Yeah.
I totally was. I
I
totally
love
was.
it.
Yeah. Never
I
once
love
did it
it.
cross my mind like, oh, will they get her to stop? None of that crossed my mind at all.
Mhm.
So it was great.
Oh, I love that.
I
Um,
do too.
what was your favorite part of the day? If you could
Oh,
pick one. It's
I,
so good.
I have to pick one. Um, oh, gosh. I it's the experiences and the people that I met, the personalities. I
Mhm.
love that because we're all different, but we're all working towards the same thing.
Yes.
And to grow together, that was such a bonding experience with those women. And I on my way to the airport, I didn't want it to end. I was like, can this always go on
Right?
forever? It was such an awesome feeling. Like it's an internal feeling is what I was
Mhm.
feeling. And I was so over grateful for everything that, I mean, what you do for us is amazing in of itself. But then when you bring us all together and have an amazing cocktail party, and like the best ever cocktail party, and just to spend time with all of these women, it was heartwarming, very touching. It was just awesome, just so
Yeah.
awesome. And just, because I was so excited, and I just like couldn't calm down the whole time.
Awesome.
I was just all, just on my toes the whole time. And I don't think we ate until what it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock at
Yeah.
night. And just feeding off just those emotions, and the excitement was goes along in lines of what I teach people too, because we have primary food, right? And that to
Right.
me
Yeah.
was primary food that fed me, that was feeding my soul. And it was just
Yeah.
awesome. It was awesome.
It was so good. It
It
was.
was.
Oh,
It
it's
really was.
amazing. And it's so fun to get to watch, well, be part of it too, but also watch you guys get to have those experiences. Cause I don't know if you've ever felt like this, but I always, like, I wanted that. I wanted to be surrounded by people who were growing as deep as I did and who like got it, right? Not just that we're
Yeah.
talking about it, not just who kind of wanted it, not who just read books, but like that were in it
Yes.
with me and not, and, doing their own thing, but we're in that same space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was funny because before I left, I even told my girlfriend that I was going, and she goes, I just want to be around Cassie all the time. She's like, she goes, and to be around multiple women that are, massive manifestors and awesome manifestors. She goes, that is going to be an amazing experience. And it sure was. Like when I told her about it, when I got back, she was just, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. She was like, I want to do that. And I was like, well, you better, you should.
right?
Everybody should.
Should.
Absolutely.
Because you can't unknow that, right? Like
Mm-mm.
that depth, that soul, that it's just like so yummy, but it is that soul, like you don't ever forget that.
No.
It's part of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely don't. And the, emotions are attached to those memories, right?
Mhm.
So you can always tap into those emotions, no matter whatever kind of memory you have. It creates emotions, and emotions is what create memories, right?
Yes.
So if you ever want to feel, if I ever want to feel that again, I know what emotion to tap into and what
Right.
memories to tap into.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if we were talking beforehand or if I said it, but I wrote everything down from the time I woke up to the time I got home. I wrote it all down at what I did. And I didn't want to forget it. And I was like, I don't want to forget this. And I don't want to forget how I felt. So it was
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is awesome. I loved it. I loved because and then it evolved, which is one of my favorite parts, is that in theory it was supposed to be over the cocktail. Like I knew your flight was later, so I knew we would hang out, right?
Yeah.
But then Jean's flight got canceled, and then Maggie and Sky was coming, and so they stayed, and it was in this hotel room, just sort of this big slumber party-ish feeling
Yeah.
of us just hanging around and talking and putting on temporary tattoos and just like enjoying the space, right?
It was awesome. It was
Yeah.
so fun. It was cool how it worked out. And I even said it too, even about the planes incident. I said, well, maybe I'm meant to sleep in the same bed with Jean tonight or
Right?
Cassie, because you only had two
I know.
beds.
I totally
Like
thought about that. I was like, well, we'll be sharing bed. It's okay.
That's what I was thinking about too. It was so funny.
Yeah.
But and even in that moment too, just speaking of tapping into feelings, when I put those headphones in, I've thought about my own bed and how it would be feeling to sleep in my own bed,
Yes.
and because I know it's all about, when you're manifesting things, it's all about emotions and what you're
Mhm.
feeling, right? And
Yes.
so that was one of the other things I did when I put those headphones in. So it was great.
I love
I
it.
was like, I know Cassie and I together can get me on that plane. I know
Totally.
we can do that together.
That's right. Yep. We had you. I was like, she's getting on it. Like, this is her
Yep.
story, how it works out amazing.
Isn't it?
And
Oh.
yeah.
And it's so funny. That's why I said in the text message to you, we did it.
I know. I was
Like,
like,
we did it.
yay.
I got on. That was
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. And you also got to do your $10,000 photo shoot while you were here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That
So
was so fun. Just having cocktails and our waitress and the photographer there too. I mean, so she stayed with us both shoots, but when we were there having our champagne and celebrating, and then our waitress, that was fun. And I
yeah,
was like, how can it get any better than this? And
right.
then we do the photo shoot, my 10K photo shoot, and I was like, oh my gosh, how did this get better than what we were just doing? I was like, how can all this it just keep building?
Yes. Yes.
Just keeps getting better.
Mhm.
It was so awesome. Couldn't ask for better, because I love rain, and it started to rain during my
Yeah.
photo shoot. It was gorgeous. And, there's like rumbling in the distance, and, the temperature was awesome. The pool water was awesome, and the drop of the background of the city, because we were on the top of the building at the hotel and at the penthouse with the pool. And it was just, I couldn't ask for, and then it started to hail, which was even better. I was like, yes.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
brought New England with me.
Exactly. Right. I know. And I love, I can't wait to
Funny.
share them. Like, then you got like those wet hair pictures at
Yes.
the end. Oh my gosh. I
Yes.
can't. Yeah.
Every time I looked in the mirror after that, because my hair got curly, because
Uh-huh.
I always straighten it, it
Yeah.
had gotten curly, and it just reminded me of being outside and taking those pictures. I was like, oh, that was awesome. She was just amazing, and it was just, she made it so fun and being natural, because it's all about,
Mhm.
my future self is being confident as well.
Uh-huh.
And I definitely was. Yep.
Yes.
That was fun. So
I
much
love
fun.
it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing. You could see you step into it. And that's again one of those experiences that somebody could be like, "Oh, whatever. Like it's just a photo shoot, right?" But it's not just a photo shoot.
No, just not just a photo shoot. Absolutely not. It was so, yeah. And it's funny, because it was definitely, I could see that it was my future self, in
Mhm.
not in the moment, but
Yeah.
right after the shoot. I was like, wow, that's something that my past self probably wouldn't have been comfortable doing, and probably wouldn't have have done it. And I did. And I was like, wow, and I did it without even thinking twice. It was like, yep, let's do it. Just
Yep.
committed
Yep.
and did it.
Awesome. Did it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So good.
It was so good.
Yeah. What else about, oh man, cocktails were so fun. You brought up the waitress and
Oh
how
my
you know,
gosh.
she was
Amazing.
enrolled. Yeah. Tell your favorite part about that.
The fact that she thought it was cool that we all flew in from different areas, to
Yeah.
meet up just to celebrate and have drinks. She said, "This is the best day ever." And she wasn't even like doing everything that we were doing. She was just waiting on us and she was feeling the energy. She loved it. She was telling everybody around us about it.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, "What are you celebrating?"
Right.
It was just so, I think it was contagious for everybody that was around us. It was just awesome. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So her name was Tony, right? No.
Taylor.
Taylor, I have it written down right here.
Yeah.
The fact that she was just all excited about it, and the fact that you gave her your book and you signed it and you gave it to her, I was like, yeah, she definitely would be a perfect one of us too. Cause
Yes.
she saw exactly what we were doing as far as how important it is to celebrate. Cause she was like, yeah, let's celebrate.
Yes.
Like, yeah. So if I were to pick one awesome thing there, I think, the fact that I, we were able to, I think it's where we really started connecting was at that point. Yeah, we were in the same room at first and
Uh-huh.
getting our makeup done, which was so cool too, because I haven't had that done before. So that
It
was
was it was so awesome. It was so awesome. And I'm gonna ask because I didn't actually ask this then. Did you have reservations about that? Or was
yeah.
that one of those? Yeah.
Yeah,
And you just
I told my husband I wasn't going to do it, the makeup. And because I don't wear makeup, right? And I
right.
was like, I
Yeah.
want to look like myself. And
Hmm.
she was so good. She made me look like myself. And yeah, I was kind of hesitant to even do that. But when I got there, I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing my makeup. Like I didn't even give it a second thought.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But I remember the reaction. Oh, you guys were laughing at me so hard when I was like, oh my God, is that me? Is that me? Because I don't wear makeup. I was just like, wow. But she does such a good job at just making, your eyes pop. And it was such a great experience. So yeah, we did have each other there. But I think we were just kind of warming up to each other. I don't know.
Hmm.
But the real bonding started when we got to the table and we just started, just opening up to each other. And I thought that was the best experience ever. I love that.
Hmm. Yeah. It was amazing.
It was, and I feel like I've known them forever. It was one of those types, one of those interactions that I'm sure everyone has had where you meet someone and you feel like you've known them forever.
Mhm.
And that felt like that wasn't the first time we did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually like common when you go, now that you say that, I think when you step into a big experience like that, that is a very common because everybody had to take this leap into this experience, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that common bond really opens this connection to like it's like you open the door, right? So
Right.
that connection is easier because everybody's open because it's like we're all doing this cool thing together.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it was definitely a huge connection. It was great, and it's funny because even Maggie said it to me in an email after. She goes, "It was great. It's not often that you meet someone that you feel like you've known forever or already had a connection to." And so I wasn't the only one that felt it. So it was
Yeah,
great.
that is great. Yes, it's
Yeah.
so awesome. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fabulous. So what do you think is the biggest way that you've changed that you're going to carry forward? It's an interesting question.
That is an
But
interesting question.
yeah, like what's the biggest way you'll show up differently is maybe a better way to ask it.
I think just taking those chances and just doing them. If it feels right, just do it. Don't second guess it, and because that is what it is all about. I mean, you ask us those questions all the time, and I have them right here on my computer. Like I said on my last interview, like, does she own this? Does she do this? And the funny thing is, I didn't even ask those questions to myself. I
Mhm.
just did it because it felt right,
Right.
and then that to me is a big takeaway, and doing what feels right and not forced, and none of it felt forced. And so I know now what that really feels like. So tapping into that is what I'm going to do moving forward. And if that tapping into that feeling, so if it feels that way, then
Yeah.
yes, it's definitely it. Absolutely.
And there's no better way to learn that, right? Like we can talk
Right.
about like what does that decision that feels 100% right versus forced feel like, but until you make the decision that feels that way, and when it's significant, right? Because it's one thing to
Right.
do it when you're like, oh, what do I want, what do I want off of this menu, right? Oh, this feels really good, oh yeah, that was good, right? Versus
Right.
doing an experience that requires this type of growth and trust and stepping out there. you,
Absolutely.
it's just a different way of learning it, so it's ingrained, right?
Absolutely. And you can, and I can even try and put it into words, and I can't even put it into words. I mean, I can, but it's not going to resonate as much as living in the experience and doing it. You're totally right when you say that. There's no way of even preparing somebody or teaching somebody that unless they live it themselves.
Yes,
I
I
guess is the
love
best way
it.
to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
God. And I'm still, this was on Tuesday, today's Thursday. I am still on that high. Like I still feel that way. And
Yeah.
I it's just, and that's, I believe that's why a lot of this stuff is happening, like all these clients and
Mhm.
all the good things that are happening. I even slept in this morning, which I never do.
Yay.
See, there's my future self there too.
Yep,
It was
yep.
just awesomeness, a bunch of awesomeness all this week. It was like, can I do this every day? I'm doing this every day.
Yes, yes. And I think that that's true. Like now you know what it feels like. You can find a little way to do it every day, right? Or
Yes.
something,
Yep.
even if it's just remembering or thinking or writing the high for, because it's gonna last, right? Because it's just there was so much in them. It's totally like a wave, right? It's like you
Yes.
just create this one awesome thing on top of this one awesome thing and one top, and in a couple of weeks, like we'll have the photos, and so then there's this whole other, you get to remember again, and
Yeah,
yeah, so I love that.
I do too. Because Jean was showing me her photo shoot,
Hmm.
and I could see her light up when she pulled them up. So
Yes.
I know she was tapping into those feelings again too. And I
Hmm.
know that kind of those pictures are attached to those emotions. So that'll be exciting when I have my pictures because I can do the same thing.
Yes.
And
So
I'm telling as many people as I can to still, like to have that energy and to feed that energy, and so
yes.
it's just awesome.
Oh, say more about that, because that I get what you're saying, but I want to make sure everybody listening understands that.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in that, whatever we give attention to is energy.
Yep.
And whatever energy we pay attention to or give out is what's going to happen and is
Mhm.
what is true. And so that's what I want to be true is I want that day and I want to feel like that day every day. So
Mhm.
for me, it's reliving that and retelling that story over and over and over again. And
Yes.
it's almost kind of the same thing is, like I tell a lot of my clients, that I want them to talk about the good things. Every time I say, okay, so what's new and good, every time they come into my office and then they start telling me I said, no, I'm asking what's new and good. Let's keep this positive, so it's all about staying there,
Yes.
and that's what I want my life to be. That's my future self is always, I mean, I know it's not always going to be, sunshine and rainbows, as you guys say. Yeah, say that. I know it's not always going to be that way, but I know that it will be, most of the time.
Most of the
And
time.
yep. And that's how I do that is sharing that story to give that story energy so that I can feel that way all the time.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love it. Um, Remind everybody where they can find you and connect with you if they are looking to improve their nutrition and their health.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's K8forwellness.com. It's the letter K, the number 8, and the number 4, wellness.com. And you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook with the same name.
Awesome. Fun.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we say goodbye to our listeners for this episode?
Oh, just have fun. Life is
Yes.
amazing. Have fun.
Yes. I love that.
Every day, all the time.
All the time. All the
Yes.
fun. Have all the fun.
Yes. And you can have all the fun. You just have to create it. Yes.
Yes. So good. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us. Make sure everybody you check out Kate's 10K photo shoot pictures because they are awesome. So much fun. And check out her website. And we will be back next week with another amazing interview on the More Money Show. Have a fantastic week. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you for joining us on the More Money Show. To learn how to attract more money into your life, go to your favorite book retailer and order Cassie's book, Manifest $10,000.